Yascha punsi utapa. So these all dan, tapas, ishta, purta, these are all part of religion, dharma. Then he says that what are the duties, what is the dharma of a person who is traveling. When one is living in the house, then there are things he can observe. He can perform Agnihotra, or he can do his chanting of the mantras or part or duty worship. But if one is traveling, then does he has to do the same activities or same rules apply to him, or it can be relaxed? So there are certain things which become relaxed, like there is a rule that you should not sit next to your teacher or on the same platform. But if you are traveling in a plane with your guru, then what are you going to do? It's not that the teacher is sitting in the chair and you sit on the floor. And your seat is right next to him, so what will you do? You will sit next to him. So while traveling, this is not considered as jumping the law. It is allowed. Or you have to sit in a ship or a boat. It's not that you have to bring a high seat for the guru and you have to just stand. So these are certain principles in pravas which we have to know that what is relaxed. Or apadi, if there is emergency situation, then what can be done? So you are traveling and you have to drink water or you have to eat food. So there may be restrictions on your food, that you don't eat food which is not cooked by devotees. But when you travel, you may not find any devotee. So now what are you going to do? You have to find some means for survival. So that is called apada dharma. So he is asking this apad dharma, pravas dharma and the normal dharma. So these are very important things to know. These are practical tools in our life. Otherwise people, they get stuck with certain rules. Dharma is also not blind. It is not that rules are there just to trouble you. They have a purpose. The purpose is to make you reach your destination, to make your life perfected by becoming a devotee of the Lord. But not that the rules themselves become an obstacle. You may not be familiar about these things, but really in this Varnashram system there are so many rules, and I don't know, maybe some rules are just made by people that it becomes so problematic that you don't do anything else except following the rules. There are people who will drink only water from a well. They will not drink tap water. Now it is a big problem. I had my PhD guide, this professor, she was a lady, very pious religious lady. She will drink only well water. So sometimes she came here and I have to make arrangement for her water. I have to get water from the well. There is one dharamsala here, the water has to, or I have to make arrangement for her to stay in the dharamsala. Or she will not eat this, she will not eat that. There were people, they will drink water only from well, and then when they have to drink water from the well to the house, then nobody should cross their path. If somebody crosses their path, they will throw the water, they will go back.
They are busy all day.
I've seen it. Then, not only that they bring water themselves, they will bring water with wet cloth.
Wet?
Yeah. So they will take bath there along with their dress, then they will fill up the water and they will come with it. Because wet dress is clean, it's water there. And when it is dry, then dust is coming, somebody touches, you never know. Or if you have given your cloth for washing, who knows who has washed it. You give it to somebody and she gives it to somebody else to wash, and you never know who is this person. So you don't know who has touched this dress. so it has become unclean. But if you take bath, it is wet, so you know that it is clean. So these types of things I have observed. People used to do this. Now you think that this is crazy, but there are people who are doing like that. And they were considered as clean. And then of course, where they are cooking, it is impossible that you can step or you can touch. This was called chaka, you know. You cannot enter, nobody could enter that area. So these were all part of dharma, not now that you are walking and eating anywhere. This was not done. So about these people, Vidura is asking that what if they are traveling, what will they do? Because for us it may not look any difference, because when you are in the house we are also doing the same thing which we will do while traveling. Life is not much different while traveling. You eat in the same way, we are standing and eating, no problem. But in the house they follow all these rules, and it is not possible now to follow these rules if you are traveling, so what they have to do? This is his question. And then there is apad, some emergency is there, somebody is sick. Now you have to take bath every day before you can eat or drink. And if you are having a very high fever, then what do? You should take bath still, or you should avoid. Or some other situation, problem has come, suddenly you are traveling, some accident has happened, there is death. Now, once there is a death, then there are another 50 rules which come into play. So are they applicable there also or not? These are maybe very funny things for you, but now of course there is email. Previously there were letters by post coming. So when the letters used to come, if there is a death in the family, then the letter has to be cut from one corner, and you give the news. You write letter that so and so has died. So the letter has to be, this was system that you cut one corner of the letter. So as soon as the letter is seen by somebody, they know, because as soon as you are going to read, then you go in ashaucha. Then you have to take bath along with your cloth and wherever you are. So if they see it before they read it, they can remove their cloth. If they have, say, winter cloth and you don't want to make everything impure, or you can stand in a place outside the house and not make the place dirty. So all these things are there. Or on top they will write, everything is safe. So that is the first thing you read, and there is no death mentioned in it. Because there is ashaucha, or there is impurity for 15 days, 20 days, depending on whether one is a Brahmin, Kshatriya, or so all these types of rules were there. So he is asking about that. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Evam paravaresham bhagavan vratani srutani iti ukter vyasa mukhat ज्ञातानमपि एषां गेयवस्तु मात्र एव निरपेक्षार्थं पुनर्मैत्रेय मुखादपि जिज्ञासां समाप्य इदानीं स्वाभीष्टं विधिसितं पृच्छति येन इति. Looks like there is no commentary on this, but the number of this commentary is 34. But nothing is said. Or maybe in his reading this verse does not exist. He is not commenting on this verse, but and his commentary on the 34th verses of the next verse. So looks like either there is a mistake in writing the numbers, or the book which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is commenting on does not have this verse. So anyway, there is no commentary on this verse. Then the next says, Yenava Bhagavastu Shed Dharmayo Nirjanardanaha Samprasidati Vayesham Etadakyahi Janagha. Says, please explain to me those duties by which the Supreme Lord becomes pleased, who is called Janardana and who is the very source of Dharma. So Dharma comes from Lord Himself. Dharmam tu sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. That Dharma is propagated directly by the Lord. He is the source, He is the propagator, He is the originator. For that reason He is called Dharma Yoni. Yoni is the place of birth. Sampridati va yesham etadakhyahi chanaka. And also tell me the activities by which He is pleased or the devotees are pleased. Yesham can be His people. So, because that is the ultimate purpose of Dharma. The real Savai Punsham Paro Dharma Yato Bhakti Radhoksaja Ahituki Pratihita Yatma Samprasena. So the real purpose of Dharma is to please the Lord. That is the opinion of Sut Goswami, the very beginning of Bhagavatam. There are various types of Dharma, and it was already said that Dharma is not meant for making money. Dharma is not for business. But Dharma is meant to please the Supreme Lord. It is, the real purpose is Yena Tusyed Janardana. And Janardana has to be satisfied. Because only when Janardana or the Supreme Lord is satisfied, then we can become satisfied. Otherwise it is not possible for anybody to feel satisfied. He is Dharmayoni, He is the source of Dharma, He is also Jivayoni, He is also our source. And we can feel happy and peaceful only if we act to please the Lord. Otherwise, even the Dharma cannot make us happy. If Dharma is only performed without keeping Lord as the object, then that Dharma will also not lead us to perfection in life. So for that reason he says that Yenava Bhagavan Tusya Dharma. Then the purpose of these Dana, Tapasa, Ishta, Purti, etc. is to please Him. So one can give charity, one can build wells or distribute food in two ways. That one is compassionate on people or living beings and does this activity. And other is that it is done for the pleasure of the Lord. So first one becomes just social welfare and the second one is devotion. So this is the difference between Vaishnava Dharma and the normal Dharma. That in Vaishnava Dharma, all these things, Dan, charity, later on this will be discussed in this very Canto, that Lord, Supreme Lord Krishna, He is the best object of charity. You can do charity in so many ways. You can give to poor people, you can give to brahmanas, you can give to scholars, you can give to Kshatriyas or Vaisyas or anybody. But He makes a gradation and then comes that the person who is the source of the universe, he is the ultimate object. And same way, tapasya, austerities are also meant for him. Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramukha, Vasudeva Paro Dharma, Vasudeva Param Tapa. This tapasya, austerity is also meant for Vasudeva. So this is the teaching of Bhagavatam, that whatever activities we perform, yat karosi yadasmasi yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi konte tat kurusu manat. Whatever you eat, sacrifices you perform, charities you give, austerities you perform, do them as an offering to the Lord. Then only they become part of devotion, otherwise they remain materialistic activities. Then you will only get materialistic benefit, which is temporary and will also lead to misery. So he says, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, Evam Paravaresham Bhagavan Vratani Shrutani iti ukte. So earlier it was said that Vidura has already heard the knowledge from Vyasa, because Vidura is son of Vyasa. So he knows the dharma from Vyasa. Vyasa has explained all these various types of charities, tapasyas, sacrifices in Mahabharata. Gyatanav apyesham gye vastu matra eva nirpekshatra. So although he knows all these things which are to be known, yet he wants to hear them again from the mouth of Maitreya. Punar Maitreya mukhadapi jigyasam samapya. And that's why he has asked so many questions. Idanim swabhishtam viditsitam pruchati. Now in this particular verse, he is coming to the real point of all these questions. He talks about the creation and asks about Prajapatis and time and nakshatras and planets and all this. But now he gives what is his intention in asking all this. And the intention he says is that yena tasya janardana. That Bhagavan tasya yoni dharma yoni janardana. By which the Lord is pleased. Va shabdas tu arthi. The word va or is in the sense of, but dharmanam sarvesham yoni karanam janardana. Lord Krishna is the source of all dharmas. Sakama bhaktan kaman yacheni api ityat. So there are two types of devotees. Sakam bhaktas, those who perform devotion with a material motive, as Gita says, Artho Jigyasu Artharthi Gyanicha Bhartarshu. These four types of people. So they also perform dharma for their pleasure. Right? They are doing this devotional activities or charity and offering it to God. But their intention is different. Their intention is for their own pleasure. So for that reason he first said that Yenava wants to shed and Sampraditvi Vayesham, that it can also be pleasing to the people. They are doing it for their own pleasure. Of course, those who are doing it niskam, they will also feel satisfied if Lord is satisfied, but some people may also perform just because they want some material gain. Yadva Shuddha Bhaktan Pramothena Anupatena Pidiyan Yesham Vaiti Kramena Tat Prasadasya Sadhanam Kim. Or he says that those who are pure devotees, then they have prema for the Lord. And when they have prema, then they feel separation from the Lord. So he says, what will please them? What will satisfy them? What is the means? Tat prasadasya sadhanam kim tatra adhikarinasya kidrisha tanme kathayatya. In other words, he wants to know that who are the adhikaris for the various types of dharma. Then he says something interesting. Anuvratanam shishyanam putranam cha dujottama anaprishtamaki bruyu guruvo dinavatsala. Thinking that Maitreya may say that why are you asking me so many questions and why you think that I am going to answer everything you ask. So very intelligently Vidura says that those who are good disciples, devoted disciples, or devoted children, to them the Guru or the Father, he tells everything, even those things which are not asked by them. Anaprishtam, not only what has been asked. So in other words, what Vidura is saying is that not only that you tell me what I have asked, you tell me something if I may not have asked. That also you can inform. Why is that? It says Guravo Dina Vatsala. Because the Guru, he is Dina Vatsala. He is very affectionate to the disciple or the son. The word Guru does not always mean the spiritual master or teacher. Guru is also referred to any senior person, father, mother, they are also called Guru. So many times in the scriptures, when the word Guru is used, it may not be just for the spiritual teacher. It can also refer to father. So that's why he has said both things, Sishyanam Putranam, and the disciples and the sons, and son also has the meaning daughter here. There is another thing you should know. Many times people like to attack Shastra that only sons are mentioned and daughter not mentioned, but in Sanskrit they have samas where you can make samas of son and daughter together and one is dropped and one word is used. It's like in Sanskrit there is a word Pitarau. Pitarau means parents. But really speaking, Pitarau comes from the word Pita. Pitri is the original word which means father, and Pitarau is the dual case. So Mata Pitarau, mother and father together, are called Pitarau. So that's why the dual case is used. Sanskrit is a language, I think Latin also has this, that it has singular, dual and plural for this reason only. So when the word Pitarau, which is in dual case, then it means not only father but also mother, although the word Mata is not there. Actually the word should have been Mata Pitarau, mother, father, that's what the word parent means. But in Sanskrit the word Mata can be dropped and still it means mother and father. If it had meant only father, then it should be only Pita, not Pitarau. So similarly here, Putranam can mean Putrinam Putranam, daughters and sons both, and the Putri is dropped. So the commentary on this is Swabhishtam api prashtavyam aham na janami atastatra bhavantaeva kripya kathayantu ityaha anuvratanam. So he says that I have asked you many questions, but really speaking, I may not know what is beneficial for you. There are people who ask questions, but it is not necessary that the question they are asking is really worthy for them, or it is going to bring some change in their life. Arjuna had asked simple question that I don't want to fight. Why shall I fight? Krishna went into a whole philosophical discussion. He started saying that you are not this body. Maybe there was no need for him to say that. He could have said, come on, why you don't want to fight? You are Kshatriya, you should fight, I am ordering you. Just do it. But he knew what is good for him. He wanted him to understand and get out from the physical platform. Arjuna was speaking from the bodily attachment. And Krishna wanted him to fight, but not from the bodily level, but from the spiritual understanding. So therefore he spoke to him and said things even which were not asked by him. So therefore Vidura is saying that please tell me which I may not have asked, but which is beneficial for me. So this is a very good student. There are people who ask questions, but it has no purpose for them, like children. You are walking with your child and he will ask all types of questions. Why there is sun in the sky? Now these questions have no meaning. I mean, if you answer to them, it's not going to change anything for him. And if you evade the question, that also is not going to bother him. If you can just divert his attention. Sometimes parents do that because children ask all types of questions parents cannot answer. They feel puzzled, so they will just divert the attention. And then the child has forgotten about it, he is not bothered. So it's just a type of curiosity they are asking. If it is not satisfied, it doesn't matter, it's not going to change anything in their life. Then there are people who ask questions only to gather knowledge. Jigyasa. They want to know, but they don't want to put the knowledge in their practice. And then there are real Jigyasu, that they ask question and that has an influence on their life and their behavior. When they understand, then they bring a change in their life. So that is the real query, that you ask, you understand, and it changes you. If it is not changing, then it doesn't matter whether you know it or you don't know it. It's like you can buy some music CDs, but you never listen them. Many people have the habit of just buying books or CDs, and they're just stacked. They never read the books. They never listen to it. There was one person, he was selling dictionary. He was going door to door. So he knocked on one door, he entered, the lady opened the door, he went inside and he said, I am selling dictionary. So I said, no, I don't want to buy a dictionary. He said, no, you should, dictionary is good. So I said, we have dictionary. So he says, where is the dictionary? He said, look, that is kept on that table. So this man said that, no, that is not dictionary. That must be some religious book. So he says, how do you know? He says, because there is a lot of dust on it. If it was a dictionary, he will open it once in a while. So people have the habit like that. So they ask questions, but it doesn't mean anything. Many times people come and they're asking about Manjari Swarup and this and that, and I always tell them that forget it, why you want to know this? Cannot chant one round properly. And he's going into all the details, how the Manjari Swarup comes and what is the bhava and Ekadas bhava and how it given and what will happen. The ABCD is not known. So whether you know it, whether it is given or it is inside or outside, it makes no difference for that person. Because he's not going to do anything on it. He will listen, then go and hear from somebody else and then argue about it. He said like this, you said like this, he said like this. What is the point? Is it going to change anything in your life? Or is it just like a religious book sitting on the table and eating dust? So Vidura is not like that. He says that Anaprishtam api bruyu guruvo deenavarsava. Sanaka Rishi also said that in the very first chapter. That what is that? Snigdasya bruyu snigdasya sisyasya guruvopi deenavarsava. That those who are affectionate towards their disciple, bruyu snigdasya sisyasya, they speak everything, they pour their heart, because they know that this student will take things seriously. So that's what it means, that swabhishtam api prashtavyam aham na janami, that I really don't know what is good for me, so you please inform me. My real intention is to bring change in my life. Then he asks one very interesting question suddenly, after saying all this. Tattvanam bhagavanstesham katidha pratisankramah tatrema kim kaupasiran kau svidanu serate. He says that all these tattvas which he has asked before, and he has also heard about the manifestation of Prakriti. So, how many of them they get dissolved? There is creation and dissolution, the cycle is there. So he wants to know that everything gets dissolved or there is something which remains. And what about the Lord? Because Lord is not dissolved in the Pralaya. So who is worshipping him at that time? Tatremam kaupasiran kayu svidanusayate. We know that there are living beings who become dissolved into the Mahapurusha, in the Vishnu, Karnodaksha Vishnu, everybody enters into his body. So his question is that does anyone remain also to worship him, to serve him, or everybody is just finished? So this is an interesting question. So basically his question is about the spiritual world. That material world, everything is lost. But what about the spiritual world? Who remains there? This is his inquiry. Sadhan bhaktim prishtva sadhya bhaktir nityatve vipratipattim nirasyan pralayam prichati tattvanamati. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says that after he has asked about sadhana bhakti, then he is speaking about sadhya bhakti, that when a devotee becomes perfect, then his situation is not like mortal beings in this world. The people of this world, they take birth, they die, they go through this cycle of birth and death. But the devotees, they live eternally. And this is what he is indirectly speaking about, and he wants to know in the form of question. And the answer is very much there in the question itself, that there are devotees who stay even when there is dissolution, because sadhya bhakti is eternal. Once one attains perfection in devotion, then one has attained an eternal position, and he is never lost. He never comes under the sway of Maya and takes birth again. Pratisankramaha pralaya. The word pratisankrama means pralaya or dissolution. Tatra pralaye ime parmeshwaram shayanam rajanam ive chamara grahine ke. He says that during the dissolution we hear that Lord, He sleeps on the waters of dissolution. So at that time, who is doing service to Him? So in the olden days there was no electricity, so there was no fan. So when the king will sleep, then there were servants who will fan him, standing there. Or if he is sitting in his seat, then there are two people. We have seen that in Indian movies. They are having this chamara, even if it is not summer season, then it is the symbol of king. So he says, who are the chamar grahis? Who are holding the chamara for the Lord who is like a king? Because there is no electricity there also. Because electricity is also dissolved in that time. So there are no wires and there is no AC system. So somebody has to fan the Lord. So ke upasiran, who are worshipping, keva anusayate, and who are sleeping. When Lord is sleeping, then Jiva is also sleeping. But he is saying that does everyone sleep, or there are some who don't sleep? So who are they who don't sleep? Sayanam anuswapanti. Those, the jivas of this material world, they sleep after the Lord sleeps. Iti Sri Swami Charana. This is the commentary of Sridhar Swami which he is quoting. Tena Bhagavat Parshadanam Tad Bhaktes Tallokasya Cha Nityatvam Abhiprayat. So the intention of this statement is that the associates of the Lord, they are eternal. They don't come down to the material world or fall. This is indirectly indicated by the question itself, that they serve the Lord even in dissolution. And the devotion is also eternal, it is never lost. And therefore the abode of the Lord is also eternal. So just as Lord is eternal, His associates, His planet and bhakti, these are also eternal. Ateva na chvayante chayad bhakta mahatyam pralayapadi iti prasiddham kasi khandavasya. Therefore there is a statement in Kasi Khanda of Skanda Purana that Nachavanti hi yad bhakta mahatyam pralayapadi, that the devotees of the Lord, they don't die even when there is complete annihilation of this universe. Ato achyuto akhile loke saeka sarva. That's why Lord is called Achyuta. That His abode, His devotees, they never get dissolved or destroyed. This is the implication of this verse. I will stop here if there is any question.
What actually means Achyuta?
Achyuta means who never falls down. There is Chut means to fall. Chavan Dhatu. Chyotati.
I have a question about this person who asks a question or questions really to put it in practice in his own life. But it really also depends on the one who answers the question, and sometimes you may ask a serious, sincere question, but you're not, the person whom you ask or who answers to you does not really answer sincerely, and therefore it doesn't touch you. And because it doesn't touch you, you cannot really change your life, although you have asked a proper question in a proper way.
No, that is a different thing. That is that you don't get proper answer, but your intention is to put it in your life. So then you'll find somebody else who can answer properly. But one who is not interested in changing or improving, changing means improving himself. And no matter where he is, he is not interested. They just ask questions just for the sake of asking. Of course, sometimes questions are asked also for the other's benefit. You see that. Then the person who is asking, he knows the answer, but he sees that there is other audience that which will benefit by hearing the answer. So for that reason also question is asked sometimes, because everybody cannot ask questions. To ask question also you have to have some knowledge to phrase the question properly. One who does not know anything cannot ask anything. Can he ask if he doesn't know anything about a topic? Or one who knows everything, he will also not ask because he knows. So you have to know at least something about it. So therefore sometimes people who know, they ask questions to let others hear.
So what are the dynamics that, you said first one has to know something in order to ask a proper question. Now how do you know, not having asked any questions so far?
Well, therefore first you hear. When you hear, and by hearing you understand something, and some things you don't understand. So when you don't understand, and if you are sincere to understand, then you will ask question. So by hearing or by reading, then the doubts will come in your mind. So then you clarify your doubts. Or you want to know more about it. It may not be a doubt, but you need further understanding, deeper knowledge.
Is there actually an example in devotee history or that somebody became perfected really only by hearing? Because even Parikshit Maharaj is given as the example for hearing, as far as I remember. He was also asking questions.
Yeah, he is the example. There's sloka. I don't remember the sloka, but the sloka says that Parikshit became perfect by hearing, Sutte by speaking, and somebody by chanting, and all the 9 limbs of devotion.
So there's not really an example that somebody only heard.
Well, I think somebody who is only going to hear, then he is also going to do something. If he is really sincere, then he will also act. But hearing itself is devotion, that is the point. So just hearing is also devotional activity. But one cannot just sit and only hear. Why in case of Parikshit this example is given, that for 7 days he just heard. There is nothing else he did. So an example is given.
So it's not really so that these 9 processes of devotional service can be isolated from one another. And
Yeah, it is difficult. It's very difficult to isolate them. Because if you hear, you will also speak. You will also remember Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. It will happen naturally. One who is speaking, he also must have heard. He also does Smaran. So these 3 things are quite related to each other.
So
When he is going to do Padasevan, he also must hear. He will also see the deity. He is not just doing Padasevan only, he may also do Parikrama, or he may also recite stotras in the praise of the Lord.
So it's always the main focus of somebody.
Yes, what is prominent activity.
also have a question about this. In the beginning of the class, you were speaking about the following all these rules that, like carrying water from the well to the house without having anybody cross the road. On one hand, this like really shows the refinement of Vedic culture. On the other side, it really sounds ridiculous. So, where do you draw the line or the definition between a refinement and just following rules for the sake of following?
Well, where do you draw the line? That depends from person to person. Because one has to be practical also in life. Now, if there is a well and you're bringing water and all the time people are crossing, then whole day you're just bringing water. And there's nothing else you can do. So if you're a householder, then it's very practical to follow it. If you're a sannyasi and you're following it, okay, it doesn't matter, go and take bath again and do it. So it depends what state of life one is in, and one has to oneself judge. Otherwise, there is no lack of rules. There's so many rules. So I think one has to first one should understand what is the purpose. Purpose is purity basically. So now, of course, if somebody is crossing, it is not making it so impure. If it is written, or if some people are doing, then maybe somebody was doing it because somebody was in a very high state of consciousness of purity, and he was able to perceive the impurity coming if somebody crosses like that. And he did wrong that. But we may not be like that, and really speaking, it may not make any difference to us.
You're not even aware of it, that there could be a contamination.
Yes. If you read Smriti Shastras, filled with rules.
Who is Maitreya Babaji? Excuse me if I don't know it.
Maitreya. There is not much mentioned here except that his mother's name was Mitra. More than that, I don't think there is anything mentioned here. Maybe in some other Purana.
Because Parikshit is a king.
Yeah.
Maitreya is a Brahmana.
Yeah, of course, he's a Brahmana. We have that Puranic encyclopedia. Maybe you can check. There's Maitreya mentioned there. Maybe that. But he is important speaker in Bhagavatam. And he was a devotee of Krishna. He heard from Krishna directly when Krishna was leaving the planet, and he spoke with Uddhava, and he was also present there. So Krishna spoke to Uddhava, although his dialogue is to Uddhava, but he was also listening.
At the same time, he was present.
Yeah. And then Krishna has instructed him that he should give this knowledge to Vidura.
And so he
So this much is known about him. So he says that he is a great sage of brilliance of ancient India, and he comes from Brahma to Atri to Chandra to Buddha to Pururava to Ayush to Aninas, Pratikshatra, Srinjaya, Jaya, Vijaya, Kriti, Haryasva, Sahadev, Nadina, Jayasen, Sankriti, Kshatradharma, Sumagotra, Sala, Rashtisena, Kosha, Dirghatapas, Dhanvantari, Ketuman, Bhimartha, Digodas, and then Maitreya.
This is all the genealogy.
Yeah, so he is the son of Devodas. Devodas, as far as I know, is a king. He also met Duryodhana and told them not to trouble the Pandavas. But Duryodhana did not listen to him.
And Vidura is addressing him as a guru.
Yeah. So when he was giving instruction to Duryodhana, telling that why are you troubling the Pandavas like this, then Duryodhana is not paying attention to him, was like tapping his thigh like this. So Maitreya became angry and he said that one day your thigh will be broken by Bhima.
Maitreya is still in this universe, or he is there any information?
So it's also mentioned that when Krishna was leaving, then he heard this and Vidura approached him. He has his ashram on the bank of Ganga in Haridwar. That's all, there's not much known.